Mr. Andrew Frisella, what's up, man? Good to see you again, as always.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good. You just got done with your workout?
Yeah, like literally 1 minute ago.
It's
I didn't even
it's
change.
I gotta be honest. I sometimes I catch myself saying, well, if I had Andy's gym in my house, and if I had this, then I would change. And it's like, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You would do the same shit you always do, regardless of the convenience.
Yeah, it's not even that convenient, bro. I already had 3 meetings this morning. You know what I'm saying? Like I have this podcast and I have to record 2 shows of my own. And then I have another meeting after that. So, I mean, like for me, it's no different than anybody else. It just so happens that we have, I've built my life to be as convenient as possible, but still getting in there and doing it is never convenient. It just never is.
I think from the outside looking in, for you, I wouldn't use the word building convenience. I would say building efficiency, because I've seen you build businesses. I've seen how active you are with your company and your team members and everything else that you have going on. It's like, yeah, well, this is still important. So it doesn't need to be convenient. It needs to be highly efficient.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, bro. I mean, you got to be able to get your shit done, and as you get older and you start to develop, especially in the entrepreneur world, you have a little freedom to design what you want your life to be like. You start getting some resources, you're down the road a little bit, it makes sense to build these things so that it makes it possible to stay on top of. For me, dude, I just went through this long this bad shoulder injury where I had to have surgery and I haven't been able to train upper body in almost a year. And I've maintained most of it because I've ate really well, but the mental aspect of me getting it done day in and day out, I didn't, as much as I am in tune with it, I still didn't realize how important it was, because these last 8-9 months have been horrible to push through every single day, like literally every day. So had I not taken the advantage of the opportunities and the resources I had to build these things near and able to execute on them, I mean, bro, the truth is I would have been probably 315, 320 pounds again, and having to dig myself out of a major hole. And so it's important, I think, as we grow, to really evaluate what what the important things are that we need to operate on a daily basis at a high level. And, training with weights is one for me. And everybody has their own thing, like I know a lot of you guys are into jujitsu and that's cool. And, or, guys run and do things like that, like Goggins or Cam Hanes. And that's cool. But like when that outlet is removed, it's hard. I guess what I'm trying to say, man, is it's really hard for me to understand how people can't understand that they're having a hard time in life because they're not taking advantage of any of the opportunities for real outlets that men need.
Yeah, I'm actually, you can see it. I don't know if you can see, I got my sling on today. You and I were talking on Messenger or text or whatever. And I just had a surgery on my pec, and everybody's like, how's it feel? How's surgery? How's recovery? I'm like, it doesn't even hurt. Like literally I feel zero pain. You know what sucks? This part of the game.
Yes.
Like I feel like a worthless sack of shit. My wife said something to me today. We were packing up a bounce house, because we got a bounce house for the kids and the neighborhood kids for 4th of July yesterday.
That's awesome.
And I was like, hey, hon, let me come up and help you throw that on the trailer. And she's like, you can't do that. How are you going to do that? And she wasn't trying to be mean, but I blew it way out of proportion. I jumped down her throat, not because like I was trying to get after her, but because in here, I'm like, I feel worthless. And then she said that, and it's piled on, and that mental game is huge. I'm dealing with that right now.
Yeah, it was very humbling for me as well, dude. I'm glad I'm past it. Like, I'm glad I'm through it. I'm able to train right now for the last 30 days or so, at least. I mean, not pain-free and I'm not strong, but at least enough with enough intensity to really get my mind back on track. So it feels really good.
Do you feel like you are going to have any sort of issue with your level of intensity versus following doctor's orders maybe, or taking it in stride and not overdoing it with your personality?
That was I'm past that point, I think. I know I am, because they tell me I am. They basically said it's going to be impossible for me to hurt again unless I legitimately injure it again, like with that kind of stress. But yeah, that was a struggle for me during recovery for sure. You know, I always try to do more, and I try to be more, and I try to push the envelope of time. Any achieving person does this. And, you know, there were a couple times where, you know, I tweaked it or I moved it. And, you know, cause I tore everything. I tore my supraspinatus rotator completely. I tore my labrum and I tore my bicep tendon. And
was that a lifting injury?
Yeah, it was from doing bench press. I was benching with a couple buddies of mine who were in the NFL, and you know, I just didn't warm up properly, and I just kind of jumped in, and it was just, you know, bro ego lift, and I got bit. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Yeah. But yeah, dude, it was bad, and I feel pretty good now. But you know, I was nervous the whole time, and I was getting yelled at the whole time by my physical therapist, and also my doctor being like, hey man, like be careful, because dude, you know how that sling is, man, you can't do shit in it. It's like, for me, dude, I couldn't move. So like mine was extremely painful, really the whole time. Like I couldn't, dude, at first I couldn't put my socks on. I couldn't shower. I couldn't do
wipe
shit.
your ass, like nothing.
Yeah, well, I couldn't do that, but I learned how with my other hand, because I'm not letting someone else do it. But you learn, you know, it was weird. Everything was weird, you know, like, and I started thinking about people, you know, who have had accidents that like lost their dominant limb completely.
No doubt.
And that was something that really got my perspective right, because I know some people like that. In fact, we have some athletes on our team here at First Form that have lost limbs. And then we have one girl in particular, Crystal, who lost her dominant limb in a car accident as an adult and had to relearn everything with her other hand. And honestly, dude, thinking about her like that whole time was really something that kept me grounded and centered around the injury, because I was thinking like, okay, well, you know, ideally, like this is temporary for me, and I'm fortunate to have that. And for other people, it's not. And so that was something that really helped me push through the mental, because dude, for the whole time, you know, I'm 42 years old, bro. You know, at this age, it's not as, you know, it's not as easy. Like I have questions in my head, like, is my body going to recover? Am I too old to recover? Am I going to get strong again? Is my physique going to come back? Am I going to be able to train pain-free? Like all of that stuff sort of, you know, was rolling around in my mind the whole entire time. And, you know, it wasn't until the last 30 days or so where I started to gain my confidence back in a real way, where I knew I was coming back, and I knew it was going to get back on track. And now I'm pretty fairly certain. I would say 98% certain that it's going to heal completely. And that feels good. You know what I mean? That mental relief of knowing that I'll get it back feels good. And it's like what we talk about all the time, bro. You know, when things are bad and when things are rough, they could always be a lot fucking worse. Yeah. And it's hard for us to keep that in our minds when we're going through the difficult things. But it's the truth, dude. You know, like whatever it is that we're dealing with, your shoulder, your pec, my shoulder, shit, man, you know, for people that lose a limb, like, or have, you know, acts like it could always be worse, and it could be much worse. And I think it's important, you know, to keep that in mind when we're going through these struggles, if for no other reason to keep us moving, you know?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're talking about the age thing too. You're 42. You said I'm 41, so right there with you. And you know, I always, when people would say, "Oh, well, you know, I'm 40 and it's a lot harder," I would cringe, be like, "Oh, like don't say that. That's such a horrible thing to say." And I got to be honest, this is the first real injury that I've ever dealt with, and I've been fairly athletic. I've been involved in sports, and you know, I take care of myself physically. This is the first real, and now I'm kind of like, oh, you know what? Maybe there's actual some truth to that. But I don't think it slows me down. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I've got to be better. Like I've got to eat better than I did when I'm 20. I've got to be more efficient than I was 5 years ago. I've got to sleep more. Like I just have to do it differently now. Yeah.
I think, dude, you know how I look at that? You know, first of all, my plan is to continue to get better until I die. So like, you know, that's the game plan I'm using. I'm not buying into, you know, I mean, you know me, bro. I'm not good at buying into society's set rules anyway.
Right.
So like the whole idea of getting older and sort of like riding off into the sunset and shit, bro, you're going to have to kill me. I mean, that's just what it is. You know, I'm that stubborn old lion that is going to have to be killed. But you know, I'm going to keep getting stronger as long as I can. And, you know, I think really what happens to us as we get older, at least for me, I'm in the best physical shape right now, even coming off the injury, than I was my entire life before that, at 42 years old. So, you know, that's pretty good. I'm 250 plus pounds with fucking abs. That's pretty good. I feel like while our bodies may respond better when we're, you know, in our 20s or even our 30s for sure, our minds are not as strong. And what I feel like happens, and I wonder what you think about this, but at least for me, what's happened is where my body may have regressed a little bit in terms of its ability, because my mind is so much stronger, my body is in a much better shape than it was when I was younger. And so, you know, you might lose a little bit here, but you're gaining a little bit here. And what you gain here actually is the real shit that we have to win in life. And so while I do feel like it is a little bit harder, I feel like my discipline and my habits and my overall understanding of what it takes for me to operate at a high level and what I want for my life is more clear and stronger, which makes it easier for me to maintain that sort of level of physical conditioning. So, yeah, you know, it's kind of a paradox in my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, I'd rather have the mentality than, and it's a false dichotomy, I know, but I'd rather have the mentality than the physicality, because the physicality you can build, right? The mentality is in, and yes, you can build a mentality too, but to me, it's infinitely harder to build that mental fortitude than it is to build a physical body.
Yeah. But once you have it, it makes the body easier.
Well, it's exponential too, right?
Yeah.
It just compounds every easier. Facet of your business.
Yeah.
Or your life rather.
For sure, bro.
Yeah. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was playing with the kids and my wife was with some of her girlfriends and they were in the garden and the kids were prodding me. They're like, Dad, come hit the baseball. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I'm like, no, I'm going to figure out a way to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I grabbed that bat and swinging it with one hand and just running around the bases. And I'm like, oh, I got done. And they threw it to third and I slid into third and they overthrew it and I ran home and they're all excited because I, you know, made it around the bases and I cheered with them and celebrated with them. And then I was like, man, I should not have done that. Afterwards, I was like thinking twice about doing that. But yeah, it's a balancing act, but it's life too. You know, it's like, I'm not going to sit by and not do anything, because that to me is not the answer either. Because I can slink away. Anybody can slink away into obscurity. You go through a divorce, a death, a job loss, a lawsuit, like you tuck tail and run, or you lick your wounds, get back up and get back into the fight.
Yeah, dude, I think that's the whole thing, you know, and I think, you know, for me, I think this injury at this age, at this point in my life, and this is another thing that kept me pushing through, was that, like, dude, you know, if I lose my shit right now and decide to go back to old Andy that was, you know, 300 plus pounds or even 350, I might not be able to recover from that at this age. So for me, that was something that, you know, I started realizing how, because like a lot of times, dude, I don't mean this in a condescending way, but I look around at people and I'm like, how the fuck did you get here? Like, how did you get here? Like, and like this point of my life was one of those major points that could have twisted the wrong way, or I could have handled it a different way. And it could have put me in a position to where, like, I could have been the guy that was telling the story. And I know this is hard for people to think about because they think of me in a different way, but like, dude, I had to create my mentality. You know what I'm saying? So like, I know inside there that weak, you know, undisciplined, lazy human is still in there. And that's part of the reason why I continue to push, because I don't ever want that fucking person to come back out. And, you know, this could have been one of those moments where I gained 80 pounds and, you know, dude, like if I gain 80 pounds, it's not going to take money away from my bank account. I have enough money. So like, I could have like went and lived the entire life being some fat, you know, slob, again, and maybe not be able to get back from it. So that was something that kept me going as well, dude. Like, I'm just not willing to lose it. You know what I mean?
So if I was able to somehow just put a fat bodysuit on you and put an extra 150 pounds on you, like you were talking about 350 pounds years and years ago, if I was able to do that instantaneously, I think you'd look in the mirror and be repulsed by yourself. Right. But in all honesty, you were there years ago. Bro. And then you said, how did I get there? How did you get there?
Oh, dude, it was this same scenario. It was the same scenario. I got injured. I was a lift. Look, I've always been a lifter. And 2012, 13, I had 2 injuries back to back. I tore both pecs. I tore one pec and then I tore another pec. And so like I tore my pec. I was out for 5 months, came back the next day, the first fucking workout, and tore my other pec. Very first one.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and that was something I learned through this injury as well. Like during the time that I was in the sling and I couldn't train my other shoulder, I still trained at least what I could of my other parts of my body so that I wouldn't get injured when I came back. So, so that in that scenario, that after I tore my other pec the second time, I was very demoralized, bro. And like, dude, we Emily and I had moved. We had just gotten married a few years before this, a year before that this happened. We moved into a new house. It was our first like nice house. And bro, you know, like at that time, I think I got a little lazy. You know, I think I you know, there was a Chinese food place right up the street that I liked a lot. You know, I ate that shit like 4 nights a week. You know, I drank a lot of wine. I drank a lot of beer. I drank a lot of whiskey. And, you know, business was good then. That was like my first phase of where we were making real money, where I had just gotten out of that like 10 years of real fucking grind of with no reward. I had just moved into my first, you know, nice house. It was 11,000 square feet. So it was like you know, I was living right. You know what I'm saying? Like right, that way. Yeah. And, I think I felt like I had it made a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And it took me taking my foot off the gas to realize that I did not have it made. And not only did I not have it made, I was losing, not losing, but I was letting down the people who depended on me to continue to build for their own benefit, not mine. And when I realized that, when it kind of dawned on me that I realized it wasn't about me, I was letting everybody else down. That's when it changed. That's when it changed for me, because like, dude, you know, like we all have that ability to let ourselves off the hook a little bit, and let ourselves slide. But whenever it's, you know, someone else is depending on you, or you realize you're failing people that really fucking went to battle for you or had your back when you were in a difficult situation, that kind of stung. And that was a realization that came to me all at once. I can remember exactly where I was. I know exactly what I was doing. I know exactly like the time of day it was, like, and it hit me. And that's when I decided, like, dude, I'm fucking done with this. Like, I'm going to become what the fuck I can become. And that's all I've been trying to do. And that was 2016. So
that was about the time you and I first met.
Yeah. So when you and I first met and I was fat as fuck, that was the result of me being injured and then basically just losing all my momentum over the course of two years. I didn't gain all that weight in 1 month, but I gained it in a little over a year. You know what I mean? But I mean, bro, I had to work hard to gain that kind of weight. Like I was eating like you would see on the 600-pound Life. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'd be having pizza, French fries, and Chinese food, you know,
all the good stuff.
You know, bring me my syrup to dip my Chinese food in. Like, fuck, dude, total fat ass shit. So it is
one of the things that I personally struggle, and I've been wanting to ask you this question. There's more selfish reason, but I think other people get value from it too, is I feel a little bit like in my life where you felt those years ago, where the business is firing on all cylinders. We're making more money than we ever have. I feel like I'm doing, you know, pretty good as a father. I'm engaged with my wife. Intimacy is there. Health minus this is pretty good. And there are things in my life where I don't actually want to do as much. Like I don't want to, for example, travel as much. It's not that I want to let off the gas, it's that I just don't want to do that as much. So how do you find whether or not you're coasting and taking it easy and just your priorities have shifted?
Dude, I think you just got to be honest with yourself. Like, are you being lazy or are you making a choice? And, for me, like how I can relate to you on this is like, that I leave a lot of money on the table because I won't travel, right? Like I leave 8 figures on the table every year because I won't travel and I don't like it. And one of my friends, who's a mutual friend of ours, was asking me, how come you don't travel? Well, shit, bro. Like I live on a resort, you know what I'm saying? Like it's pretty awesome. I come to work every single day at the literal coolest headquarters of any company on the fucking planet.
And that's objectively true, I'll say as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's not just me saying, hey, I really like my life.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I live 4.5 miles away. I come here, I get to work with all these people who are driven, who are hungry, who are willing to contribute and help other people win. And it energizes me. And like, dude, like a vacation for me, every day is like a vacation. I do exactly what I want to do, bro. So those are choices, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that I'm leaving money on the table, to have a different quality of life that I choose. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago if I would ever do that, I would have been like, there's no fucking way, bro, because I'm a killer. I'm going to get it all.
Right.
But what I realized is that I'm actually going to get it all in a different way by doing it the way I'm doing it. And all that money that I'm leaving on the table from speaking gigs, I'm getting 6 figures for every speaking gig that I do. I could be speaking every fucking week. So it is what it is. That money though, I will receive on the back end one day from what I do every day and my business opportunities, what I'm building here, and the non-monetary gain that I gain from not doing that is much better as well. So, I think you're going to make the right decision knowing what I know about you, it's a trade. It's quality of life versus, money. And, that's funny because, I get a lot of people, people know that I like nice shit and I have a cool car collection and I have all the cool things that you would think like a wealthy dude would do. And then it's, all you care about is money. Motherfucker, if you knew how much money I left on the table, you would not say that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like another thing, like I do my podcast, like, when my podcast is, it's at the fucking top and I don't run an ad. I could make 8 figures on ads there. Actually, now that I'm talking about it, maybe I'm stupid. Like I'm starting to think like, damn, dude, you're kind of an idiot. But I don't know, man. Like I just kind of like to do things my way and I have enough and I like building and so I just built my life the way that I like it. You know what I mean? And that's going to take some choices. I think anybody who just chases the dollar, no matter where they are, eventually they're going to be seen as someone who just chases the dollar. And I don't think that's an admirable thing. I think that it's admirable to want to win, but it's also important to win in a way that isn't just monetary. You know what I mean? It's also a win in life. And I know you understand that as well as anybody, and your listeners do too, because they understand that success is not a paycheck. It's not a dollar amount. It's a fulfilling life, and money is just a way to help accelerate that. But like from the outside in, it looks like, all I do is go home and come here and I'm working all the time, but bro, this is fun for me. I love this. This is what I would want to be doing. That's a great perspective. I think about that too. And I've said, like, people say, what you want to travel? And I'm like, why would I want to travel? I bought the place I wanted to have. Yeah.
I've got the land I want to have. My kids are out playing, doing their stuff. Like I don't need to escape this. Like, this is what I like. And this is what I've worked for.
Bro, I think that's a perspective. I think most people don't live a life like that. They haven't built a life that they actually love. They live in a life that they're yearning to escape from at all times. And, so when they're asking me, why don't you travel or why aren't you out on a fucking massive yacht doing all this shit? It's like, bro, I've done all that. Like I've done all those,
Mhm.
I've had those experiences, and the experiences I value most are the ones that I get to do every single day. You know, Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. You know, your life is not that 1 or 2 vacations. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but you know, I love Jordan Peterson. I think most of your people probably do too.
No doubt.
Yeah, if
Amazing.
if he lived in Roman times, they'd have a bust of him. Okay.
Well, we'd be quoting him instead of Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and one day
for
they
sure.
will be. One day they
Right.
will be. You know, what he says is, you know, your life isn't the moments that you paint as like the vacation or the trip or the big win or the fucking crowd cheering. You know, those are just little tiny highlight reel moments. Your real life is like how you wake up in the morning, like what conversations that you have with your family, with your wife, with your husband, you know, how they treat you when you get home. Like, what do you do when, like those, what you do at work? Like, who are your friends? What relationships do you have with the people that you're surrounded by? That's your life. And I love my life. So I try to like not escape from it, you know?
Let's rewind the clock a little bit, because I think there's a lot of guys who are listening who want to be in the position you're talking about, right? Like, I think everybody listening wants to be in that position
For sure.
and we're all on varying
Absolutely.
spots on the timeline. But you also said something earlier about opportunities. We're looking for opportunities. Opportunities are there. And yet I'll see a guy who in one breath will say, I want what Andy has. I want what Ryan has. I want what that guy has. And then the very next breath is, but I don't have any opportunities. It's like, why do people overlook what's right there in front of them? Like, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head. Like, I could look at him like, bro, here's 10 things you can do right. Like today, do that. No, well, you don't know my situation. Whoa, what, you know, and it's like, God, just do that and you can have what you want.
Look, man, it sucks to suck, dude. Okay. That's
Yeah,
the reality.
it does.
Winners are going to fucking win. Losers are going to fucking lose. That's it. I stopped, you know, a few years ago, really engaging with people on Instagram and on the internet. And you know that.
Yep.
And the reason I did was because I was wasting my time and my breath with people. You're either going to follow me, you're going to understand, you're going to listen, you're going to execute, or you're going to lose. And that's it. And once I come to that realization of I'm going to offer what I can offer, and people are either going to take it or leave it, I realized that it was pointless wasting my time to try to convince anybody. Because at the end of the day, winning in life, in business, is so fucking hard that if someone has to convince you to do it, you don't have a fucking chance anyway. So I'm not trying to convince anybody. You know, my buddy Aaron Wagner, I think you know Wagner.
I know, I've never met him, but I know who he is.
Good ass dude. He's a cool dude. He's you know, young guy, you know, very successful. Somebody posted on his story today, are you a real hustler, or are you fed with a golden spoon? Well, first of all, motherfucker, it's silver spoon. Okay. That's how dumb you are. It's silver spoon, not golden spoon. Secondly, that person, you know, Aaron wrote back a response that basically said, no, man, I grew up here. This is what I did. But those people aren't going to hear that. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? They will never fucking care. They will always walk around saying that guy who said that about the golden spoon, he walks around every single day looking at every single person that has shit that he doesn't have and says, that guy got a golden spoon. Yep. That guy got a golden spoon. That lady had a golden spoon. I'm the only one that didn't get a golden spoon. And that mentality is what keeps these people from seeing the opportunity. Like there's more opportunity right now than there ever has been in my entire life, ever. Now, are we at a pivotal point where we could lose that for the younger people, you know, the 18 to 19 to 20-year-old people right now who are hungry, who look at it and they're saying, I want to build this amazing life? Could their opportunity be hurt? Yes. If we don't fix what's going on in the world, absolutely. It will be hurt. Could be hurt. It will be hurt. It will be fucking stopped. But at the end of the day, the main reason why people can't see opportunity like you could see it is because they've trained themselves to look past it. And if you train yourself to look past it every single time, how are you going to see it? It's impossible to see. Like, so, you know, and dude, unfortunately, you know, as you know, we're battling a massive indoctrination system. We're battling a massive trillion-dollar manipulation, oppression machine that tells people that they are peasants and they're going to stay peasants. And no matter what they do, they're going to be peasants. And the people who aren't peasants, who have shit, they're your enemy. That's what they're being taught. And when I was young and when you were young, that's not what we were taught. What we were taught was, hey, look at that person. They came from this. That means you can too. And that is not happening in our school system. It's not happening in our households. It's not happening anywhere. And you can't really blame someone who's never been told or never been taught that there's massive opportunity for them if they would just put their fucking hands in the dirt and get their hands a little dirty and go and be willing to do that for a long enough time, right? Like, bro, there's a fundamental flaw in what we're being taught.
And I don't disagree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But there's a weird balancing act between what you just said, which is we can't really blame a person who never learned that because of this indoctrination. And then, hey, some people are just never going to learn. Like, is there a middle ground where we should be looking for characteristics or glimpses into people that we want to serve, that we want to lead, and help them see a better way of doing it?
I found the best way is to be the best that I can be. And people who choose to listen and follow will choose to listen and follow. And people who don't. You know, I can be like the whole process of me like thinking like, hey, I want to serve this person and make them better. If they can't grasp it mentally, it's a waste of my time, because the amount of effort that they're going to have to exert. Because like, dude, winning is not just about understanding that you can win. It's about becoming really good at it and working really fucking hard. Right. So, you know, we've gotten to a point in society where a lot of people think that winning is just if you show up and do the job, you're going to win. That's not reality. So if you take someone who's mentally so far away from understanding opportunity, and you're trying to get them across the spectrum over to, I have to show up every day for years and years and years and years and work as hard as I can with no result, you know, that's not a me problem. That's a them problem. So like what I try to do is just tell my story, share the tools, and hopefully it clicks for them. But the reason I stopped doing what you're talking about was because it was draining me. I couldn't put my own energy into my own projects because I was so frustrated with all these people that honestly are not even fucking close to where they need to be mentally to win, that I decided like, I cannot do that. I can't do that because I'm failing my own team. I'm failing my own family. I'm failing my own friends. I'm failing my own companies by trying to convince some motherfucker who thinks it's because of a golden spoon, or because you're born into a certain family, or because it's fucking this or that or this, or whatever reason they tell themselves that they've been told. I can't waste my resources there.
Yeah, I can see that. And I get frustrated at times too. And I know other people do. And I'm just trying to think of my own personal situation, whether, I mean, I think about my mom. She raised me primarily on her own, and my sister. And she wasn't very entrepreneurial minded. Didn't really have that background, but there was things that she did that I watched, I observed. I watched her take care of her money. I watched her work 3 jobs at a time to make sure that I never questioned about having a roof over her head. And I brought a lot of that mentality with me. And then along the way, I learned from guys like you and other people, a different way of doing it, but it was all built on the foundation that she had laid for me.
Yeah, dude, I think, you know, there's levels to it as well, bro. Like there's also levels, like not everybody is going to become this extremely successful business mogul. That's not even everybody's goal.
It's not mine. So, like my goal isn't to be you.
That's what I'm saying. And mine's not to be you. So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
And that's not like
wrong.
bad. Right. But like, we have to understand that when we put out our tools and we put out our skills and we share, like you share, and like a lot of these other guys that you have on your show share the things that they've learned and known and discovered and experienced for the next generation to come up. You know, we have to remember that, like, you know, that's an obligation on our part, but the obligation on their part is to follow through and do it. And, you know, it's got to take both. You know, you have to meet in the middle. And, you know, I don't know, man. I like what you do, like with your, you know, what you guys are doing with the younger kids and like teaching these younger people, though, that's very, very noble, important work that needs to be done. And I think most of those kids are probably already pre-tuned for achievement because their parents care enough about them to bring them around.
Their dads are with them. Their dads are involved. They invest in them. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So like, dude, that like pouring into those type of situations, that's a different thing because they're sort of already bought into it. But I'm definitely not getting online and arguing with some dude who doesn't even know the quote right. That's a silver spoon, not a golden spoon, about why the fuck he can be successful too. Because in my opinion, that person will never, ever, 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 ever get it, no matter what I do.
So you made this pivot of not posting like you were prior to this about a couple of years ago, it seems like. And then you have your daily email that goes out, and I read every single one of those, which is awesome.
Thank you.
But you also made another pivot more recently, which is to shift from, and I'll use this term. I know you probably don't like it, but I'll just use it for the sake of argument, more of a business / self-development movement, right? Into the MFCEO, into RealAF, which is a completely different lane. It's a completely different avenue. So what prompted that change, and where do you see that going moving forward?
Well, there was a need. There was a vacuum for it. That was the problem. So at the time when, first of all, MFCEO, I feel is a pretty complete library. I don't think there's much more that I could add into it to make it. I mean, there's maybe a couple things, right? Like, but not, it's pretty comprehensive. And for me to continue to beat those things to death, that's just not, that wasn't fun. Towards the end of that, I was not having fun. I was like, this is ridiculous. I've already told you motherfuckers 20 times, like, bro, you know, like that's where I was with it. So I saw the corruption that was happening. I've always been in tune with what's going on in society. I saw the loss of American values. I saw people starting to get afraid to post the American flag. All these things. And I just felt like there was a need. I felt like there was a need to talk about why it's important that we have freedom. I felt like there was a need to expose the people who were listening to my show, who want to have success and want to build amazing careers and businesses, that they won't be able to do that if they don't take care of what's going on in society right now. So like, I almost felt like it was an obligation for me to switch that format. And one of the reasons I switched the entire format was because when I was doing MFCEO, if I ever started talking about like my own beliefs or this, I'd always have a bunch of people be like, hey, you need to stay in your lane and talk about this. Well, hey, fuck you, dude. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. And that's what it is. So I changed the show and I lost all those people. They went over to whoever, and I don't hear from those people anymore. And it's amazing. My life is much more fun and better. But you know, I at the end of the day, bro, like I'm not just a businessman. Like I'm more than that. And I know that, and I know I'm here for bigger things. And you know, running this business and building an empire, that's not the main thing I'm here to do. And I know that. I know what I'm here to do, and this just plays in that plan. As far as where it's going to go, I don't know, man. You know, I could be in the fucking gulag in a week, or I could be in solitary confinement with all the January 6th protesters with no fucking trial, or you know, I could be doing stand-up comedy. I don't know. The best thing about doing RealAF is that it's opened up my audience to a very wide range of audience. And it's actually got them more interested in becoming personally successful. So I actually think it's much more impactful of a show than what MFCEO was, even though if you ask people what show was more impactful, they will say MFCEO, but you got to remember they were dedicated to that.
Right.
I'm talking to people from a wide range across the abyss of personalities and career paths and political ideologies and everywhere, because even the people that don't agree listen. So eventually they start figuring out, like, well, man, this guy's pretty successful at business, and they discover all this other content. And then, you know, I get many emails a day that people are like, man, dude, you know, I never even knew who you really were. I just thought you were a dude that like made jokes on RealAF and made fun of these guys. But like, I've gotten a lot of value, man. My life is better. I did 75 hard. I'm doing live hard, blah, blah, blah. And so like, it's almost like it opened up my ability to do what I do to a much broader base of an audience.
Do you feel like the direction of, let's just say the country, we'll leave it there for now, or just society generally, is that there's more people from a proportionate amount that have moved from this idea of independence, freedom, liberty to this woke ideology, gender, critical race theory, politicians who are taking a bigger advantage of us? Or is it that they're just more vocal? Or is it both?
Well, what I really think is that the media and technology have colluded together to create the perception that this is a much bigger issue than what it really is.
That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah. If you know, in 2016, I made a post about Donald Trump, and I got targeted by a bot. Okay. And I had this is 2016, bro. My following was not what it is today. Mm-hmm. I had like thousands of comments that were like bashing me within 10 minutes of posting the post. And I realized like, that's not humanly possible. And so for this whole time, and if you go back to the old MFCEO episodes, I talk about this because I couldn't understand what was happening. Because quite honestly, like a lot of people, I just didn't think people would do these kind of things. But now with Elon trying to buy Twitter and so what he did, what people are very confused about what he did, but what he did was actually super genius. What he did was he pushed up against Twitter with an offer that could not be refused, knowing that full disclosure of their operational procedures would be required for that offer to close. He knew and suspected that they were using the Twitterverse as an echo chamber to create narratives. And so what happened was he pressed up on Twitter, and then when it came time to disclose how many fake accounts, they wouldn't do it. Right. So they said it's plus or minus 5%. Bullshit. It's more like, probably, if we're guessing, I would say it's more like 60% fake. Okay. And what they've done is they've used the mainstream media, social media, and all these things to collude together to make it appear that the average conservative-minded, real freedom, I'm not even conservative, bro. I'm freedom. Okay. But the average freedom-minded American feels alone. And if you go back and study the methods of communism, or you go look at like Saul Alinsky's playbook that they all quote about being the best, Rules for Radicals is the name of the book. If you go read the book, what they've done is exactly play by play to demoralize society. And so what I actually think is happening, and I'm convinced of it, this isn't like you couldn't convince me otherwise, is that they use bot farms and fake accounts and suppression and censorship to create the appearance that so many people are with this. But you got to remember, why did nobody come out and support Joe Biden when he was campaigning? Why did they keep him in a basement? Why do they use a fake White House set? Why is there never any crowds? Why are the crowds when he's traveling around all pro-Trump? Why? None of the real world feedback of this fake technology world that they've created jives with what they've created. So when we are told 24 hours a day that you guys that look like you and I are racist, and black people hate us because they hate us, and blah, 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 and we go out in the real world and everybody's cool, that shit don't make sense. Right. And everybody, white people, black people, fucking Native Americans, everybody is starting to catch on. The gay community, everybody. Everybody's catching on that we're being fucking played by these elite tyrants. And so I don't actually think any of those things are actual real issues. I think, you know, we've allowed the media be controlled, and we've allowed them to collude, and we've allowed these communists, which is what they are, to indoctrinate and put their teachers in our teaching system. We've allowed guys like Soros to fund prosecutors that won't prosecute crime, to create more crime and division in our cities. And I think the game is up. I think everybody's starting to see what's going on. And, you know, it's falling apart. And like, I can't sit here and think of a win that the progressive left has had in the last year. Like, name one. They haven't had one.
No.
And while we all feel like shit is falling apart, they really feel like shit is falling apart because nothing they're doing is working anymore, and none of their divisive tactics are working. People are waking up to how corrupt the school system is, how corrupt the judicial system is, and they're putting in the work and getting engaged to change it. Which is, there's a lot to do. But at the end of the day, man, like I have not heard one convincing argument by fucking anybody of any sort of stature outside, you know, like these Hollywood people who are in on the game with them, right? That makes even 1 ounce of sense. And I think most Americans are smart enough to know that. Most Americans know that on the inside, we all bleed red and we're all the same. And we all struggle, and we all have hard times, and we don't hate each other, and we understand manipulation. And I think there's people who are continuing to go along with their narrative in public because they feel like it's going to benefit them, or because they have tied their identity to this shit so hard that they don't know how to back out of it. But at the end of the day, man, I don't think that most people believe this shit. You know, I don't see them winning anything. I see their entire play falling apart in every regard whatsoever. You know, they had to take down dislikes on YouTube on the White House channel. Like, if you look at, like, you know, CNN's ratings are gone. They had to close CNN Plus. Disney's the worst performing stock in the fucking stock market in the last 12 months.
Netflix,
you know, dude, all of the woke shit is getting smashed. But the problem for them is that they're committed to it. So these people are not going to be able to rewind and retread and go back on course. The damage is done. And which is important to talk about on the show, because the next generation has a massive opportunity to build some of these amazing things from a pro-America stance or a pro-freedom stance. And, you know, that's just going to take time. But I can promise you, the minute someone makes better shoes than fucking Nike, nobody's buying Nike shoes anymore. The minute someone makes better cartoons than fucking Disney, no one's taking their kids to Disney anymore. You know, that shit, their shit is done, and it's not recoverable because they are in bed with the people, the World Economic Forum people who push this narrative in order to demoralize society, to remove individual identity, to create a situation where everybody's dependent on the government so that they can have the most fucking power. And so what people need to realize is that everything we consume in mass media or Hollywood, for the most part, is designed, and we're all starting to see it, right? Like, where everybody's starting to kind of wake up and be like, holy shit, dude, they're jamming this shit down our throats everywhere. Every commercial, every movie.
Go to the gas station to get gas, and it's like, I just want to pump gas. I don't need the LGBTQ agenda. I just need gas in my truck for a reasonable price.
And everybody feels that way, bro. Even the LGBTQ people. Like, they don't listen. That's most of 99.9% of gay people are not with the sexualization of kids. Okay. Like, they're trying to create all these dynamics to create as much of this shit on the ground as possible so that they can continue to steal from us. And that's it. That is it. Okay. And, you know, I think people are catching on. So my answer to the question in short is, I don't actually think it's anything what people think it is. I think it's a made up facade. I think the curtain's being pulled back, that they use technology to push their agenda, to pressure people into silence. I think people are realizing that political correctness was a communist subversion tactic to keep people from speaking the truth. All right. They want people ashamed. They've shamed winning for the last 20 years. If you're a winner, you're greedy, you're this, you're that. Don't show your wins or you're not humble, blah, 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 blah. And you know why? Because they don't want people to be inspired to win. Because when people are inspired to win, they're harder to control.
That's right. They're more independent.
That's
and
right.
I love
It
to
might
see
be
the
a problem
wins.
for. That's right.
I love to see the wins at like cultural side, even media. I mean, even with what we're doing, you know, this is an element of media, right? It's not legacy media. It's a way to get information out to millions and millions of people.
We are the fucking media now. Like you and me, Rogan, these guys, Jocko, we are the media. They're not the media anymore. No one trusts them. Their trust cannot come back. Like, how would you trust the news again?
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way.
How would you trust the medical system again? Like, dude, there's no going back from the trust that's been burnt here. So the only way to restore that trust is to build new, and that's an opportunity. There's opportunity there, right? Well, so I mean, I'm doing it. You know, Jocko and Pete are doing it with
That's
Origin.
what I was going to say, the same thing. Yep. Yeah. Origin with their new hunt line and American manufacturing. You guys are doing it with your facilities.
No one's going to buy this woke fucking camo shit. They're going to buy Origin shit.
That's right. That's
right. Like, bro, when I get First Form where it's going to be, no one's going to be buying Nike. They're going to be buying our shit. That's it.
As it should be.
Yeah.
The other area I see it is in education. You know, we got guys like Matt Boudreau, who's a mutual friend, who are coming up with incredible alternative education options. And you see Arizona trying to pass bills that give money to parents for school choice. Like, these are the things that needs to happen, and they're happening at a rapid pace, it seems like.
Oh yeah. Dude, listen. The main thing, I think culturally we're swinging. Listen, you want to know what I'm concerned about? And I think you know me enough to know that I'm seeing years, and like when I'm talking, even when you and I are talking, like a couple weeks ago, we were talking back and forth. I'm talking about shit 4 years down the road all the time.
Right.
Like,
right.
So if you talk to me in person and you ask me what I think, I'm talking not about tomorrow or the next week. I'm talking about 3-4 years. I think the thing that culture needs to be aware of, and what I'm already starting to see, you know, America is designed to be a free society, is designed for a multitude of cultures to come here from different places, be able to practice their customs and their cultures and not be persecuted against. And we are all to align with certain American values, that the way we do shit here in America, okay? That might be your yard over here, but now we're in my yard. You can do whatever you want in my yard, but you're not going to do this or that or this. Right. And there's a few things that this or that that people have been allowed to do that have to stop. All right. And history shows us this, okay? The pendulum is always swinging. And here's the problem with what I'm about to say. And this is good and bad news. It's going to be good for everybody who wants America to win. It's going to be bad because it can be bad. All right. And what's happening right now is the pendulum is swinging back from this far left shit that didn't ever take. They tried to get it to take, it didn't take. And it's swinging back, and they're causing so much damage and so much pain and so much harassment, and reasonable Americans have been attacked and persecuted and canceled and doxxed and harassed by this group of 2%, 1% of people on the far, far left, right? And that pendulum is going to swing back, and it's going to swing back really fucking far, all right? And that's dangerous because the way this pendulum is swinging is towards the people that own the weapons and the guns. And while I'm all pro-gun and I'm pro-weapon, I think we should have tanks and helicopters and Apaches and shit if we can afford them. The problem is not Trump. People say, oh, Trump's crazy. Dude, these people who say that shit better they better hope that Trump gets elected, because Trump is reasonable. There's a possibility, because of the pendulum swinging back so hard, that a more extreme example of a leader could emerge. Okay. And that leader could say things like, all these people wanted to put you in camps and they wanted to kill you. All these people did this and this and this, and they wanted to hurt you. And it would be very easy to rile a large majority of people up to create a genocidal situation.
Which happened with Hitler.
Listen, Ryan, most people don't know the truth about Hitler and that whole situation because it's omitted from school. Okay. People, they do not teach what happened between World War I and the end of World War II in school for a reason.
He was going to redeem Germany after the embarrassing losses.
That's correct. And he was also a patriot of Germany. He was a man who was pro-German. The problem with Hitler was he was so far that way that he's fucking hated people who weren't. Okay. And the reason he was able to kill these people and do the things that he did was because the social climate was so far the other way when he came in. All right. When he came in during the Weimar Republic, there was fucking child prostitution, sexualization, all the trans things that are happening now were happening at that time. And what happened was people in Germany got so fucking sick of it that they were like willing to elect someone who promised to take care of the problem forever. And America is going to have to show some restraint to not allow that, because it's not right. It's not fucking right. And so I see all these conservatives just attacking these people. You have to remember that the people that you're attacking, bro, just like, have you seen all the things about these detransitioners, these kids who transitioned and then had to transition back? Okay.
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't know what you're referring to though. That's
a big story right now. There's a lot of detransitioners coming out right now saying, hey, these teachers manipulated me, society manipulated me to do these things, and they were wrong. Okay. Now, if you think about these people that the right is just attacking, a lot of these people are good-hearted people that were heavily manipulated by people who are fucking evil. And some of them so much so that they cut off their genitals. Okay. This doesn't mean those people are bad. It means that they were taken advantage of. And so we need to hold the people who have done these things accountable. Okay. But we have to understand that the people who harassed us and people who, tried to get us fired from our jobs or closed our businesses or did all these things the past 2 years, made us take medicine that we didn't want, which I didn't take, obviously. But the point is that we have to remember that those people are victimized, and they're not the enemy, bro. We are all Americans. They are the result of a tyrannical government that is out of fucking control. Okay. And dude, so we have to be, that's what I think. Do I think the pendulum's going to swing back? Yes. Do I think they're going to try to cheat in November? Yes. But I think the gap is so big, they won't be able to do it. And I think they know that if they do cheat with the gap that big, it's going to result in heads on stakes, like the old days. You know what I'm saying? So, that's kind of my assessment of the situation. I think America's going to win. I think America will become, I like when Trump says, make America great again. I don't think that we need to make it great again. I think we need to make it great, period. I don't think America has ever lived up to its actual standards of what it could be or what it was supposed to be. I think we laid out a document and a structure that is very, very much so an effective structure and document and rules of a republic, but they haven't been followed. And we've been fighting for 240 something years for all kinds of things like equality, for rights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're finally here. They're trying to throw us back into all that shit because they don't know where to go from here, because it doesn't benefit them. Because what benefits humanity is for all of us to exercise our American freedoms and the capitalism society that we live in to create and become the best versions of ourselves as a country and individuals. And that doesn't serve them. So what they're trying to do now is destroy all the progress that we made for 240 something years to create a scenario that they can have control. they're not going to win. This is going to be the time they lose.
Well, and I hope that's the case. And obviously we're working towards that. I really enjoyed your 4th of July episode about pursuing excellence, because a lot of the times people will get riled up by what you're saying in a positive way, and they'll get excited about it. And then they feel like, well, what do I do? It's like, do yourself, like take care of yourself, take care of your family, start businesses, grow organizations, rally around community members. And sometimes I fear that people don't think that's enough. But if you have 300 plus million people doing that, that's more than enough.
Bro, we could change the culture in one fucking calendar year. If every single American, if 100 million Americans, okay, not even every single one, a third of the country said, for this next year, I'm going to give it all I have to become the best version of myself. I'm going to set the best example. And by the way, it's not enough to want it for yourself. You have to want it for America and want it for your neighbor and want it for your community. Because at the end of the day, like I said earlier in the show, the main motivating factor for most humans is not themselves. It's when they're letting other people down. And what America needs to have happen is they need to come to the realization. Every man, every woman listening to the show needs to come to the realization that I had back in 2015, 16 about me failing my own guys and my own team. Only we're failing this country. That's the realization that people have to come to. And when they come to that and they realize, holy shit, I'm just a fat plebe who's sitting on the couch, not doing shit with my life. And I'm setting an example for all my other neighbors to do the same. And I'm failing this country and I'm causing this country to die because of it. That's a different kind of pressure, because most people do love America, in my opinion.
Agreed. And that's the pressure we need. Andy, yeah. I appreciate you, man. I always have. I've enjoyed our friendship. I've enjoyed even our disagreements. Bro. It's been awesome to know you. Yeah. You've been instrumental in my life. Also, just a plug for the RealAF podcast. Guys, go listen. The commentary is amazing. You guys are hilarious, number one, but also spot on with your commentary. And it's something that I just don't think you're going to see in legacy media, and something that needs to be more shared. So I appreciate the work you're doing there as well.
All that's mutual, bro. 100%, man. I've watched you start this show and I've watched you build it in one of the top podcasts in the world. We've been friends for a long time. I appreciate everything you're doing. I especially appreciate our disagreements, because you always have a way of getting me to see things in a different way and getting me to calm down a little bit from where I'm at. And that's one of the things I appreciate most about you, bro, is that no matter how fired up I get or no matter how passionate I am, you always have a way to bring me back to center. And not many people can do that. So I really, really appreciate that about you, bro.
Thank you. That means a lot. All right, brother, I'll let you get going. I know you're a busy man. Guys, make sure you check out what Andy's up to and keep up the good fight. We'll see you, brother.
All right. See you, bro. Thank you.